Hey, gang, welcome to the Jim Masters Show, entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you had a good day today. We're going to make you laugh. We're going to make you smile. We're going to make you think. We've got an incredible guest joining us from Las Vegas. He's originally a Pennsylvania boy, but he's making his life and his living in Las Vegas. Headlining comedian, actor, speaker, producer, writer. There isn't anything he can't do and hasn't done and isn't doing right now. Tim Chizmar is joining us here live from Vegas. We got a lot of cool things to tell you about: new movies, new productions, new projects, his books. And he's an inspiring figure as well, because he actually shows others how they too can do this kind of work. He likes to mentor others. He does writing classes and teaching and a lot of inspirational talk. It's really cool to have him here. And it's cool to have you here. If this is your first time watching our series, well, then give it some levity. Give it a thumbs up. Drop a comment on our YouTube channel if you're enjoying this episode. And also, gang, if you would like to comment right now, you can. You can say hello to one another, and we give you the opportunity to be very interactive with this show. This is a very interactive show, kind of like you are the studio audience watching all around the world. The JMS Lovity Hall chat room there is open and available. A lot of you can say hello to one another. We might even sprinkle a comment or two right here on the screen during the live episode of the Jim Masters Show series. Now, if you want to be a part of the JMS Lovity chat room while the show is on and connect with each other and with us, it doesn't cost anything. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, where we have almost 900 episodes of the series as of today, almost 900 in just about 2.5 years' time. Actually, the end of March, early April will be 3 years, 900 episodes. MASH was on for 11 years. They did 230 episodes. A little perspective there. A lot of content, a lot of incredible episodes and great guests for all of you. So you guys can binge watch guests from Broadway, Hollywood, television, film, music, stage, culinary arts, sports, comedy, inspiration, and everything in between. And have a ball when you do. Don't forget to share the links. Share what we call our levity here at the Jim Masters Show. Tell everybody about our show. Don't keep it a secret if you enjoy what we're doing here for all of you in Lovity Hall. So a lot of cool things that are happening. Been a busy day here for me. I was on the radio all day, and then we did a TV shoot, writing more TV scripts, and just another day here in Jim Masters' world. Hey, gang, I see a lot of comments already built up. That is cool. Thank you very much. We appreciate all that. We're going to have a good time on this episode. So sit back, relax. Don't forget, if you enjoy it, give it a like, subscribe, leave a comment in the comments section. Let's have a good time together as those color teenies fly through the air, as legendary host Tom Snyder used to say on his many iterations of his talk show series. Tim is in the house. Well, actually not our house, but his house. And again, he's a best-selling author, award-winning speaker, headlining comedian, and actor. And we are so excited. And you know, of everything you see on the screen right there, the thing that popped out, aside maybe from our logo, is the Free Hugs t-shirt that you see him sporting in this promo piece we have here we designed to promote the episode. A lot of people are like intrigued, but they're like, oh, I like that shirt. I like this concept. I like what he's doing here. Well, let me tell you, he's been doing it for a long time, and he's been, you know, at some of the great places and venues. He's got a residency in Vegas. We're going to talk about his career. We're going to be talking about current projects. We're going to be talking about a lot of ways that you can see Tim's work. If you've not had a chance again to see him doing what he does, he goes to a lot of the cons too. And, you know, he's very approachable, and you get a lot of fans who want to know about this, that, and the other thing. And he's got so many incredible projects, and we're going to tell you about them. Books, things he's been a part of, things that he's very proud of. And we're going to show you clips and all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah, he's had an opportunity to participate in a lot of cool things, and we're really excited. Yep, you're going to see that, and we're going to show you that. And there's the free hugs. Who needs a free hug? Line up, gang. I know we're surviving a pandemic here. I think everybody wants to hug now more than ever. So Tim and Jim, we're sending out those free hugs to all of you, gang. Wow, a lot of comments built up. Good. I love the energy. We love you all, gang. Let's start the show. If this is your first time here, we welcome you to the show. And of course, we got to acknowledge our Lovity squad. Hello to the JMS Lovity family watching from all around the world. Cool to have you here. And now it's time to welcome our new friend to the Jim Masters Show. And we really appreciate him joining us here from Vegas. He's got a lot of cool things to share with us. And get ready. We're going to have some fun tonight on this episode of the Jim Masters Show. So you got Jim and Tim. Here is Jim. And now here is Tim. Hey, Tim, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's me.
It's
I wanted to freak you out and make you think that I was muted or something.
happened to the guy last night, so I'm used to it. and he had to figure out how to unmute on the spot, especially being live. It happens all the time, especially in my work in television and radio. You're just like, we've had everything. You know how it is. Anything can happen when you're live, and you got to be ready for it. How's things in Vegas?
It's lovely. It's beautiful. It's me. It's him. It's TIM. I'm so glad to be on your show. You had such a buildup. I'm scared I'm not going to live up to it. Yeah, I wanted to buy a ticket to go see me.
As I always said, your mom faxed me the information, said, Jim, you better read it verbatim or else.
That's what I say when I'm signing a DVD or something. I say, this is $100 value if you ask my mom.
If you ask your mom. Pennsylvania boy, tell us about growing up in Pennsylvania, and has that had any inspiration on all of this craziness and creativeness that you've got?
Yeah, I think so. I grew up in a very small town. I was in a place called Crawford County, which was between Pittsburgh and Erie in Pennsylvania. And a couple of notes. The first thing was that there was nobody like me in the town. It was a town full of regular, not that there's anything wrong with them, but regular folks doing regular jobs. The kind of people who you marry your high school sweetheart, you have 2 kids, you work at the tool and die plant, you go to the bar and the church, and your kids grow up and do the same thing. That was kind of, so for a guy to come along and be wanting to make movies with aliens and reptiles and pro wrestling and stand-up shows, there wasn't an outlet, there wasn't a class, there wasn't a way for me to plug in. So it all kind of just got built up. And after I graduated from college, I moved to California, and I just let loose every entertainment, crazy, wild, outrageous thing that I was just dying to do.
Well, when you were a kid growing up in Pennsylvania, what were some of the things that you were watching? Were you into the comic book world? Were you watching Batman and Robin? I mean, what Inspector Gadget? I mean, what were you watching? What were you following?
So I was the video store kid. I was the kid who always hung out at the video store. And when somebody came in and they asked, where's blah, 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 where's this movie? I was the nerd who would be like, I'll go get it. And I ran to go get their little tag because I knew where every movie was. And a lot of these kids today might not even know what a video store is. But for us, it was so wild to think that there was a section, not just comedy, drama, action, but in my Hollywood Video, which was I know some people are Blockbuster, I was Hollywood Video, there was sections dedicated to Westerns. There was sections dedicated to pro wrestling. There was sections dedicated to live concert videos, like, New Kids on the Block. And it was a wild time to grow up as a kid. I was so thrilled and excited by every month new releases would hit the store. There'd be posters in the windows. And my youth, at least being inspired entertainment wise, was full of comic books, video games, and time spent in video stores.
Were you a Twilight Zone guy? I definitely am. I love the Twilight Zone. Can't get enough of it.
I've learned to appreciate it more later in life, for sure.
Yeah, when you watch it, it's unbelievable. Just the depiction of the idea of how we treat each other and what life's all about. And some of you watch those Twilight Zones now and you're like, wait a minute, this is what's actually going on right now outside our door. Some of the craziness of life, huh? It sounds like you spent all that time having fun in the video stores, where I would be like at Tower Records, going in the different sections of music and putting the headphones on and spending hours digging through and sampling and just really enjoying. Now, did you like the cartoons? Were you into the various cartoons like Jetsons, Bugs Bunny, Flintstones, any of that kind of stuff too, or some of the more, techno animated sci-fi type of cartoonery?
Not so much, except to say that my very first crush was on Hollywood from the movie Cool World. I don't know if you remember that with Kim Basinger and Brad Pitt, but
Yeah.
that was my very first kid crush, was a cartoon woman. So
I thought you were going to say Polly Purebred from Underdog.
no. But it's interesting that you're talking about all these different aspects of nerd, because, for example, you mentioned that I'm a panelist and I do a lot of stuff at Comic-Con, WonderCon, all these different comic book events. Well, when people hear that I'm a comic book guy, an expert, a panelist, whatever, they tend to ask questions about their favorite element of nerd culture. But the truth is, there's so many divisions. You could be a horror movie nerd, you could be a pro wrestling nerd, you could be an anime nerd, you could be a cosplay nerd. There's all these different areas. And so what I subscribe to and what I speak on behalf of is comic books. I run a comic book label, I write comic books, I deal with comic book artists. Pro wrestling, I've worked in pro wrestling, I ran a developmental territory. Are you still there, buddy? Are you around?
We're giving you the full screen.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't know I was worried that meant that I'd gotten kicked or something. I had to log back in. Thank you for the full screen. It almost fits my big head. So
everybody wants to know what that shirt, all they're seeing is the top of what looks like rabbit ears. Let's see that shirt. That's cool. Now, what's that about?
So there's a brand called Psycho Bunny. And Psycho Bunny is a very fun, a little bit expensive brand. It's a great material, and they put these designs out that don't last forever. So it only comes out for a few months, and then you buy it, you have it, but if you didn't buy it, you'll never have it again.
Kind of like the food at Trader Joe's.
And I used to look at him and I would say, who's going to spend $80 on a t-shirt? But I came into some money off of one of my movies and I said, all right, I'll buy two. And wouldn't you know it, a year later, those two were still my favorite shirts. They were very soft, very nice. Now my closet has like 40 Psycho Bunny shirts. So
really, huh?
Big fan of Psycho Bunny. Yeah.
I was going to say, you should be a spokesperson for them, huh?
Yeah. Like I need another job.
So what came first for you? Like I said, writer, comedian, actor, so of course, speaker, which comes later. Was it the comedy? Was that near and dear to your heart? And were there other funny people in your family that inspired you?
Well, the thing is, my life isn't super linear. I tend to do a lot of things on top of each other.
Yeah.
So, for example,
yeah.
I mean, we were talking before we went on air. You've got a ton of irons in your fire too. When I was a full-time college student getting my bachelor's degree, I also ran the radio station, had 2 television shows, had an independent wrestling company, wrote for the newspaper, and had 2 side jobs. That's the kind of fire that I have, where I wake up and I'm already behind schedule. We got things to do. We got people to talk to. We got deals to make. And so when people tend to gravitate towards one aspect of who I am, I would say the worst thing about me being the kind of person I am is I run into negative crossover, where somebody will be a fan of one element of who I am and then discover something else I do, and it doesn't, they're like, what? But he's into this. Wait. How can he be into that? And it's like, that's just how I roll. So,
I get that too. If they've only known you from one thing, you could be boxed, not typecast necessarily, but boxed in just the thought process of like, wait a minute, you did that too, or I didn't know you were involved in that, or you do that as well. I'm like, believe it or not, been doing that all at the same time, like you're describing.
Yes.
And it can be surprising to people. In these industries, you actually kind of have to, right?
Absolutely, because you never know when one thing is going to go or something else is going to fall off. So you have to have, it's like plate spinning for a magician. You have to have 10 going, because maybe 6 will go, maybe 4 will go, maybe 1 will go, or maybe they'll all go at the same time. But you kind of have to be watering all these flowers, because you don't know which one is going to, grow up to the clouds,
So you graduated from Edinburgh University of Pennsylvania with your bachelor's degree in communications. Tell us about that.
I was terrified. My family, I know we talked about some inspirational. Well, both of my parents are convicted felons. They both, so when I say I'm from a gated community, I'm talking about prison. So
Yes.
both my parents, my father was a drug dealer and my mother did some physical crimes. And so they met on a bus coming back from prison. My mother took me and my sister, got on welfare because she had been institutionalized. She didn't know how to raise a family, how to teach us anything. And there was a lot of abuse and elements that were difficult to deal with in growing up. So how we went down this train of thought.
No, but you know, a lot of comedians, there is this backstory of things they've gone through when you talk to them that sort of, you know,
because comedy comes
inspires.
from a dark place. Comedy
Right.
comes from a dark place.
Right.
So,
So,
we laugh and we joke at certain elements because what else can you do? You're you know, you just want to survive it. You just want to get through it. So I know. So I wanted to tell you, graduating college, the reason it was so scary was I didn't have a doctor in my family, a lawyer in my family, a mayor. Everything I had to create myself. So, for example, I had never met my father, but our home life was so wild and crazy that when it came time for me to be able to drive, who teaches you to drive, Jim? Your family. My family was crazy. So I went to the local church and I begged them, and two goody guys took me out trying to pretend like they were teaching the poor kid to drive, but nobody had the patience. Nobody cared. So I had to call my father for the first time ever when I was 17 and say, "You've done nothing for me my entire life. Please teach me how to drive." And lo and behold, he wasn't as bad as my mother had made him out to be. And that's when I met him. And I discovered I had a half brother who was 8 years old. And we began this relationship. And that's how I met my father, is because I needed somebody to teach me how to drive. And he taught me to drive. And, you know, that was helpful. But
have you stayed in touch since that time?
They're both dead now.
Oh, they have passed. Yeah.
Yes, I knew him my senior year of high school, and I knew him my 4 years of college. When I moved to California, a few years later, he ended up passing away. But I did get to know him, and that was helpful. We should always know our parents, and he was proud of me. It was fun to watch the transition because, for example, one of the things I was doing when I was getting into entertainment stuff was running a professional wrestling company. So I was like a little mini Vince McMahon. I ran a territory. I brought in old legends and young stars, and some of the ones that are on TV or even in the Hall of Fame, like Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix wrestled for my company when she was getting started. Now she's in the, I'm so old. Now the people I got started are Hall of Famers. But anyway, my father came to the first pro wrestling show I ever put together, and he didn't get it. And he was just like, you know, like, this is stupid. What's going on? But by the time he had been around and watched what I had done, by the time 3-4 years went by, and he came to one of my last shows before I moved to California, and he saw I had television crews, I had catering, I had merchandising, I had the ring set up, I had giant athletes doing what I tell them to do, how long, and, you know, we need to wrap it up. This match is 12 minutes and you're going to finish with it. He was so impressed. He was so blown away. And he, you know, he told me, he was like, wow, you know, I had no idea. Once he saw it was a business and I was actually making money by working in entertainment and putting it all together, he had a whole different appreciation for it. And that's nice. Like, all of us want to have some element of respect from our parents, you know.
What would you consider one of the first door opening opportunities for you that really sort of launched the career for you, Tim?
I'll tell you what it is, because it's one of the things I always try to preach and tell people. The crazy, wild, outrageous idea that you have, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it, because sometimes it's the craziest idea and the craziest concept that other people say, that'll never work. That's exactly why it'll work. So when I moved to California, I had $1,000 in my pocket that I had saved up, and I was living with two guys I went to college with. We decided we were going to write a screenplay, and like most partnerships, I ended up writing the screenplay. You know, they, you know, bless their heart, as they say in the South. You know, one was a Chris Farley kind of goober, like fun at parties, but didn't really have the mindset to write a script. And the other guy was more of a, what was the movie where the guy was, Ferris Bueller. He was more of a Ferris Bueller type guy who was like party boy. And so Party Boy and Chris Farley were living in a house with me, and I ended up being the grounded guy who was like, listen, we need a 3-act structure, we need story arcs. So I was the nerd who actually put it together. And the point is, once we had it, we needed to attach somebody with name credibility to the script if it was going to go anywhere. And here's what I did. This was the door opening opportunity. There was a comedy club. I was in Rancho Cucamonga, California, and there was a comedy club called the Ontario Improv, the world famous Ontario Improv. The script that we wrote was called Checkered Flags, a comedy about race. It was about a black guy who goes into NASCAR and the whole fish out of water thing. This was 2005. We couldn't get Chris Rock. We couldn't get Chris Tucker, but Eddie Griffin was a comedian on the rise. He was headlining that weekend at the Ontario Improv. So I went down there with a sign, a cardboard sign, Jim Masters, and I wrote, "Hey, Eddie," and on the back of the sign, "Screenplay for you." And I waited by the back door of where the headlining comedians can't come in. And a security guy came up and he saw my sign. And I think he could tell that I wasn't going to try to shoot Eddie. So like I wasn't dangerous. And then he was just kind of like, I don't think that's going to work for him. Like, well, I'm going to give it a shot. So I waited. The limo pulled up. Eddie gets out with his entourage. They're walking up to the back door. I hold up my sign, "Hey, Eddie." And he like goes, "Hey." And then I turn it over, "Screenplay for you." That's it. No agent, no manager, no publicist, just a guy with a sign, "Screenplay for you." He walks over and says, "All right, what do you got?" We start talking. I get his people's info. We attach him to the script. I sell it. It's the first script I ever optioned in Hollywood.
Wow. Talk about being a go-getter, huh? Yeah, you earned that swig of water after that story.
A guy with a cardboard sign.
A cardboard sign.
The first TV show.
Sometimes less is more.
The first TV show I ever sold to the Country Music Channel was a combination of pro wrestling and stand-up comedy. It was called Championship Comedy. And when I had the idea for it, I had 2 comedy coaches. I had just broken into stand-up. They were who I went to for advice and input. I told one of them the idea, and he said, "Tim, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. If you want to work in this business, don't tell anyone that idea." And I said, "Oh, geez, I'm sorry." And so I held on to it for another month or 2. And then I eked it out to the other guy, Gary Cannon, and he's been the warm-up for Conan O'Brien, a bunch of other stuff. He was on Steve Burns' recent special. So I told Gary Cannon, and Gary said, "That's a great idea. Let me call the general manager at the Ontario Improv, and I'll get you a date." And so that's the difference. If I'd listened to the one guy, it never would have made it. But I pitched it to the other one. He got me a date at the Ontario Improv, and that became a regular. I brought in pro wrestlers and comedians, and it grew. It was a big hit. It was at the Ontario, Brea, Irvine, Hollywood, Lovitz Club, and then eventually we got a deal with the Country Music Channel, and our executive producer was Eric Bischoff, who was known for the WCW. He also did a lot of reality TV, like Breaking Bonaducci, et cetera, et cetera. But the point is, when you have a crazy, wild, outrageous idea and you tell it to somebody and they crap on it, sometimes it's just because they don't have vision. They're too afraid to do their own ideas. Try it. Try the crazy, wild stuff. That's why when you look at an entertainer's resume, at the bottom it says special skills, and they'll put things like fart the alphabet, because you never know. You never know.
He's a wild and crazy guy. Billy Crystal. That is so cool. That really is so cool. So is that when the producer side of you started to come into the mix as well, with the CMT, the Country Music Television Network, and that project?
Yeah, it was, I would say before that. When I was running a radio station in Pennsylvania, it was a 3,000 watt non-commercial in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania, and I loved it. But I had a pet psychic on, and I made some jokes about the pet psychic that the pet psychic didn't like. And she complained to some people. And so I was, even though I was a production manager and general manager, as on-air talent, I got banned off the radio for making some jokes at the pet psychic's expense. And so a friend of mine who was a regular at the radio station died. He passed away. He was in a wheelchair, and a blood clot came from his leg to his lungs.
To the leg, to the Yeah.
He ended up dying. He had spina bifida, and his name was Big Dog Steve Danowski. And I really genuinely cared a lot. So I wanted to organize a tribute to him. And we actually created a scholarship at the university in his name that's still going to this day. The point is, the reason I'm telling you this is I was banned from the radio station. I could manage it, but I couldn't be on air. And he passed away. And so I ended up being forced to produce a show about my friend without being able to talk about my friend. So I think that was the first time I was ever forced to look at producing and what it's like to organize talent and get your voice across without, being a big obnoxious fathead, which is what I tend to do. But I learned to be subtle. I learned to listen to the whispers and don't pay attention to the screams.
There's pregnant pauses, and yeah, absolutely. Who are some of the comedians and comedians that you've always admired? I mean, are you a Rodney Dangerfield fan? Some of those guys, Carlin.
No, that's hack to me. That's mainstream. That's like what the average people would. For me, it's a little bit more nuanced.
Like Sebastian Maniscalco.
He's interesting.
Isn't he?
He definitely has a cadence and a style to his own.
You know who we had on recently? Jeff Altman and Rita Rudner. They were on recently. Yeah, they're cool.
They're
legends.
It's so fun because comedy is different tastes. I always try to tell
yes,
people.
It is. Yeah.
Red
Fox did his version, and then
comedy is
Milton Berle did his.
Comedy is like music in that, you don't say, hey, Jim, you want to go to a music show? I'm very specific. I say, do you want to go to a heavy metal concert? Do you want to go to a rap, concert? Do you want to go to a spoken word poetry folk song event? So comedy is like that. The kind of person who buys a ticket to go see Kathy Griffin isn't going to buy a ticket to go see Larry the Cable Guy. It's very specific tastes.
Yes.
And so I borrow from some absurdist and then some storytelling. I really gravitate towards Ron White. I think Ron White tater salad is just fantastic. I love the ridiculousness of Norm Macdonald. The older I get and the more this isn't the way it used to be, I tend to gravitate towards Bill Burr, but I enjoy the silliness of a Pete Holmes. Pete has had a great career. I'm starting to come around on Tom Segura. I used to look at him like a big bully, but I've been watching enough of his stuff through his wife, Christina P., and I have an appreciation for that as well. But I love it when people can be ridiculous and silly because the name of the marquee is comedy, but at the same time, they can be who they are, who they are as a person and not hide behind jokes about socks and cookies. That to me is not a comedian. That's like, here's a joke book, go on stage. I want to hear, who are you? What's your perspective? And it's nice when it's a little dangerous, when it's something that you look out at the audience and not everyone's going to agree with you, but you're going to say it anyway. And you're going to show your side of the perspective.
Like a George Carlin.
Sure. Yeah.
He was something. Here's one right here for you.
Corolla. Yeah, I've worked with Corolla a few times, and I adore that man. He's going through some rough times right now, but
yeah.
He was just in Vegas not too long ago, and we caught up. And yeah, he's a great guy. He's a good guy. Another great guy who's coming to Vegas next month is Nick Swardson. Nick and I are good buddies. And I could just go down the whole list. Gabriel Iglesias, Daniel Tosh. I mean, I've been blessed to be able to work with and open for a lot of really good talent.
Tell us about this photo here.
So that was at Halloween Hotness. It was a big event in October. And the guy I'm next to is Dylan Dillegaff. Dylan is a world famous disabled comedian. He's never had the use of his legs, and it hasn't stopped him. He's worked for NASA. He was married for 40 years. He has 2 grown children. He's a grandfather now, and he's a hilarious headlining stand-up comic who has had multiple residencies here in Las Vegas, and now he's starting to burst more out on the scene, including a movie that I wrote and produced and play a part in called Hell's Coming for You, where he plays the lead, a guy named Liam Gunter Hell. And it's kind of a satire, absurdist take on action movies and bounty hunter movies. It's directed by Mark Savage. And what we did was we took the expectations of an action movie and kind of, put it through an absurdist grinder that this man in a mobility scooter, who, by the way, it's the first action movie that's ever actually been starring a true disabled actor. So he he's annoying all the other bounty hunters because he gets the best jobs, he gets the things done, he gets the highest paid. And so kind of like Pulp Fiction, there's this onion of a story that unravels, and every time you think it's over and he can live happily ever after, it just gets worse.
That's incredible. We actually have a clip, a trailer that
Yes.
you generously shared with us here on the show that is cleared to air, which is cool. Do you want to set it up, the official trailer, or just have us show it and then talk about it after?
I'll tell you that we have Kilpatrick, who was a big 80s star. He was a villain in a lot of movies with Steven Seagal and Chuck Norris, people like that.
That's right. Yeah.
There's pro wrestlers in it. There's as you watch the trailer, pay attention to the hot air balloon stunts. I can have stories about that. We have anyway, I just have fun. Check it out.
That's it.
And, look for me. I'm wearing a white suit and I have bleach blonde hair. It's kind of my Miami Vice character. So I'm in there too.
But of course, wait, look for me. Look for me.
Look for me.
Hell, it's coming for you, and it's coming right now. Here's the trailer.
Hey, have you ladies met the new guy yet?
I'm Amanda from across the road. That's my son, Zach, over there.
Thank you for the welcome. I look forward to getting to know you both.
He's got to have some kind of military background. My buddies at the firing range say they've never seen such an expert shot in all their lives.
Meet Liam Gunter Hell.
Afternoon, folks.
The only survivor from a horrific family tragedy, which left him paralyzed and alone.
Amanda! What, you think the laundry's gonna fall itself?
I'd like to give that prick a piece of my mind.
Sometimes problems have a way of working themselves out. Maybe one day, he'll disappear too.
You know, Bruce has disappeared just like I prayed for.
The Lord works in mysterious ways.
Trusting only in his closest bounty hunter allies.
Appreciate you hanging around a few days, Eddie, while I get settled in.
Are you kidding? After all the years and everything you've taught me, I wouldn't be a bounty hunter if it wasn't for you.
Until a shocking betrayal reveals that in this world, nothing is sacred and no one can be trusted.
I'll be chainsawing off
An appendage.
every half hour till you bring me
What I need.
The first action thriller about a disabled hero played by an actual person with real disabilities.
You don't know about life, about love, or about happily ever after.
Shit, we know what you've been doing. Clive, Anton, Sin. Just putting it on the record that there's a target on your back. And we're coming for you.
Hell's coming for you.
You know how fast you were going?
Yeah, fast enough to,
Your mom.
I'm coming. And I've got a particular set of wheels.
When is that debuting?
We're going to find out in 2 days. We have a meeting with the distributor about when it hits all the streaming platforms because we have to do the promotion 4 weeks before that. So roughly before March, but it's going to hit all the streaming platforms. And then it's also getting a Blu-ray release as well from Allied Vaughn. So very excited.
That's amazing, huh? So was that shot in Nevada? Where'd you shoot, all those scenes, those shots we saw?
Yeah, the movie is set in Arizona, but we did shoot it in... The story is in Arizona, but it actually is shot in Las Vegas. Yeah, the Las Vegas area. We did Lake Mead. The majority of it was shot in Vegas, with the exception of the hot air balloon stunts. We shot those in Sonoma, which was rough. Yeah. I say rough because we got robbed for the first time ever. I was the victim. We were the victim of a smash and grab. We flew out
really
a limited crew, and we had $15,000 worth of equipment in a rental car. Everybody just got out of the airport. We got a rental car. We went to a restaurant. We went inside. While we were inside, somebody smashed out the back window, grabbed as much luggage as they could, and drove off. And so that was rough. That was rough. It was an introduction to how apparently
society is deteriorating.
Well, especially in that part of the world, because we eventually we were out there for like 4 or 5 days, because when you schedule a hot air balloon shoot, because of the wind and the and all that, the weather, they give you a window where it's like it'll be one of these days. So we're stuck there for 4 or 5 days, and we went over to San Francisco, which we had to put up with a lot of the COVID stuff that was going on over there, where you can't have a beer without showing your Vax pass and all this. And then also there were signs about smash and grabs everywhere. And so
it was area was unbelievable.
The cops don't even show up. They didn't. We lost $15,000 worth of equipment. They didn't even show up. They were like, if there's any footage, send it to us. It was disgusting.
Unbelievable. Nothing recovered either, huh?
Definitely not. No. And I even had checkbooks from my business account. And at the time I was like, well, should I put a stop to this? But I was thinking, it's probably crackheads. They're not going to do anything. 2 months later, people are trying to cash checks from my business for thousands of dollars. So I had to
usually at McDonald's or at the supermarket or crazy stuff. Yeah, really crazy. You could do a whole movie on just that.
While you were playing the trailer, I started reading the comments, and somebody was asking me about the painting over my right side. So if you were to go to my condo, it looks like a Comic-Con. And so this right here, I say for the person who was asking, that is an original art piece for Johnny Blaze, the original Ghost Rider. And later he teamed up with Danny Ketch, the second Ghost Rider, and they became a team called Spirits of Vengeance. So if you were to go through my house, there's a lot of movie props and original artwork and stuff like that pertaining to film and comic books. So that's what that is.
Got a lot of Post-it notes too. Is that the to-do list on the board behind you on the left?
You have no idea. I've got Post-it notes, but then I also, not only do I have the desk, but I just bought an addition to the desk, like something you would add on to have more desk, because I have piles of stuff. I just hired a personal assistant. She's actually coming over tonight to get started, and then we're doing some more stuff Sunday because, Jim, I just can't take it anymore. I have too much to do, and I have things that just keep getting pushed off on the list. And
I know how that is.
Can't take it anymore.
You got to get the assistant, right? You got to delegate. Are you a good delegator, or do you always like to have your hands on everything?
I think I can delegate if it's not creative. I think if I'm asking her to do things like update contracts and there's my little, I got a little to-do list, like submitting for certain award ceremonies, following up with comedy clubs, mailing cards out, dealing with computer issues, the contracts, Square, invoicing, light editing on some things, because I have an amazing team I work with for my publishing houses. But if there's small things, and then submitting writer speaker gigs. So those are some of the things, just some of the things on this one to do that I don't get around to. That's not the big stuff. That's not the big stuff that pays the bills. That's the little stuff that leads
the stuff that is connected to the big stuff, which pays the bills. Exactly. Right. It's sometimes the nitpick stuff that's like you can easily slip up on or forget, and then the whole train comes off the track. We have, you were talking about big men too. The big men of comedy. We've got a clip here for about 2.5 minutes or so. Tell us about the Big Men of Comedy tour.
I would love to, because it was another life lesson as a young comedian. I had this vision of what I thought entertainment was going to be like. And it was, I would make some friends and we would be a core group, and we would go on to higher levels of success together, and we would back each other up, and we would have each other's back, and we would all... Doesn't work like that. If you can, human resources is very important. If you can find some good people, you are a lucky and blessed individual. So although I'm not like, crapping on these guys, they just didn't have the drive and the heart to stick around. I put the tour together because I thought, Jim, I don't think this is out of the realm of possibilities I thought, I'm a go-getter. I can get comedy clubs. I can get deals at networks and streaming and all this. So if I do it, and I have 3 other guys doing it, then how big could we get? Pardon the fat guy pun. But what I ended up, so I put this together. I said, let's have 4 fat guys, comedy that's off the scale. And we do a lot of like fat guy humor together. So I put together this tour, and I put together the dates, and I put together the show, and you can guess what happened. I did all the work, and now none of those guys are even in the business. So, so it was a lesson. It was a lesson to me. And it's okay. I screen and scrub a little bit harder these days when I put together a team for a project, because, you know, people will say what you want to hear, and you know, you don't know somebody is a butthead until you've spent some time with them.
Until you've spent time with them. Yeah.
And that's why when you look at movie makers like Tim Burton or Steven Spielberg or Quentin Tarantino, you look at the team around his movies, they use the same editor, the same colorist, the same the cinematographer, because you can rely on those guys. They've been in the trenches with you. They know what's going on. They're not going to screw you. They're not going to say one thing to your face and then badmouth you. They're legit. And, you know, this was an experiment, and they're good guys. They were funny guys. I wish they would have stuck around, but they just didn't have the drive.
Do you know who did that as well for years on all the different incarnations of the series? Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball. They always had the same writers for all the series, cinematographers, camera people, editors. I mean, all were like the same group through all the different series. And when you're comfortable and they sort of get what you want to do, and there's trust and they're all in it together, there's nothing better, right?
Yes. And it's good for you too. It's not a gift to them. It's such a relaxing, less of a headache. I mean, there's stories I could tell you about Hell's Coming for You, where I put together this team, and, you know, when people, okay, here's a quick example of me. And, you know, and sometimes people want to know, like, you know, how come so-and-so is so prickly? How come they're so difficult to deal with? Sometimes the niceness gets beat out of you. When I did Hell's Coming for You, I made it a point that anybody who worked on the movie would get half their money up front, half at the end, because I know how hard it is to work in entertainment. And I didn't want people to be struggling to get to Vegas and to be living out of a hotel. So I wanted to make sure that they got half their money up front. Well, you can guess what happened. Somebody got half their money up front and then quit. And I said, all right, well, you owe us our money back. And he said, yeah, sue me. So much for that. So, you know, it can be.
And their name was.
I don't even want to give him.
If only. Yeah, no, you don't.
His name was Jim Masters. And if you ever see that guy. Well, let me give a quick shout out before we go to the video, because as long as we're talking about team, let me give a little tip of the hat on the I have an amazing team that I wanted to plug, because I know they're watching or they're going to watch this. On my writer side, I've been working with Stacy Smekovsky. She's an amazing editor. She doesn't need your work. She's so overworked, but for the sake of it, it's editsbystacy.com. Stacy Smekovsky is freaking amazing. Lisa Ann Barain is my new personal assistant that I just hired. She's starting tonight.
I'd like to thank the Academy.
Yeah, Amber Hassler. I promise it's not too long. Amber Hassler is an amazing ghostwriter. Rick Offenberger runs First Comics News, which I write for, and he has been an Eisner judge, which is like the Oscars for comic books. And he wrote for Archie Comics for like 20 years. Worked for those guys. Mark Savage is an amazing director. I've been working with him. Brandon Ficara, who deals in the corporate world, gets a lot of clients and projects. Dylan Dilligaff, the man in the chair, and Corky Stanton, who runs clothesfree.com and works on a lot of projects with me in the body positive naturism field. So I want to say that because those people are people that I depend on and rely on, and they're there for me. And I just want to give them a tip of the hat. But this is a clip from the Big Men of Comedy tour, which was a blast, is a lot of fun. And I'm still creating tours and groups and stuff. So it kind of gives you a vibe of what we were doing. Wait, this is like a decade ago. It was like 10 years ago when I did that.
See, now that you listed all those names out, when you go up to get the Oscar, you don't have to take 10 minutes listing those names out. You can just say, I thank the Academy. I love you all. Good night.
I go up and I say, go to the Jim Masters show.
Watch the Jim Masters show. Subscribe, like, comment, spread the lovity. Absolutely. You best do that, Tim. We look forward to you doing that. All right. Here comes the Big Man of Comedy tour. Here we go.
names in these films. Ariel, Belle, Jasmine. These are stripper names, folks.
All the Mexican girls, it doesn't matter what they're doing, they will drop everything that they are doing and run to the dance floor once they hear this song. It's not only Mexicans. I went to a black wedding.
And I would have never given a girl a lap dance and kicked her in the face.
I can't do one push-up.
Not one. You know what that means? What a trip and fall face first in a puddle of water? You're gonna drown. Most people carry umbrellas. I carry a snorkel. I'm not going out like that.
Wow. That is funny. So how long did that, was that a one night only thing, or did that go for weeks and weeks and weeks?
Oh, it went for quite a while. It was because at my strongest point in producing in California, I had a regular monthly show at the Brea Improv, the Irvine Improv, the Hollywood Improv, and the Ontario Improv, but also the Jon Lovitz Comedy Club, and we did road gigs. So, for example, we did the Comedy Spot in Scottsdale, Arizona for a weekend, et cetera, because my mindset was I'm at a certain level, and this is the best I can do, so I'm going to use all my contacts to try to push it, and then I hope that they would do the same thing. And I just pictured the all of us doing it together, and it didn't work out that way. But it's the same with the story about me doing the screenplay with the two other guys. This is why the older I'm 42 now, the older I've gotten, I've learned to really rely on myself. And if other people come along and they have skills and talents and they're a decent human being and we can work together, that's great. That's why I went through my list of people that I wanted to give a shout out to, because it's rare. It's very rare to find people who are willing to put in the time and the effort to make it happen. Like a great example about people in Hollywood talking about a project, how to make money. It goes like this. One person says, hey, you know what we should do? We should do my idea, and with the profits, do your idea. That's a great idea. I really like that. I have a similar one. We should do my idea, and with the profits, make your idea. And
It's like a lot of bureaucracy, right?
a lot of pretending, and
it's garbage. Like being in DC. I know what you mean. It's craziness. It's nuttiness on so many different levels.
DC stuff too. I've gotten involved in some political stuff here in Nevada, and it's just two-faced hypocrites, bullying, lying. People like you, but only if you vote the way they want you. The world.
And that's just at the supermarket.
Yeah. Yes.
In the supermarket line.
It was all over eggs. That's right.
Oh my God. I want to show a couple of other things too, because you're a writer and you've been involved in a lot of different projects. What about this?
So there's an updated, better cover of that you can find. That's the first cover. I think it looks, one? Yeah, I think it looks a little scary. The updated cover looks more like this.
Tell us about that. Let's bring it up full. Here it is.
So yes. So I do run a publishing house, and we have imprints where I deal with a lot of other people coaching with their books coming out. And then also, and by the way, am I losing light? Do you need me to turn on some lights over here?
It actually looks cool. Yeah, it looks cool because it's on your face. Yeah.
All right, just making sure. So I run a publishing house, and I have been writing for magazines and websites and selling short stories and all that for a long time. I have a series of imprints that do political thrillers, do westerns. A lot of writers first time going in books, collections, anthologies. What you were looking at there is modern. Well, that was Soul Traitor. Soul Traitor was a book about a woman who says she would give up anything to have what she wants. And so it's one of those things where a demon would pop up and say, really, would you? And it's this whole sales division in hell of selling souls. But instead, when he gets her soul, he decides he's going to stick around on Earth because he found the loophole that if you have a soul, you don't have to go back to hell. So he eats her soul, falls in love with her, and now we've got this this union of a demon with a soul and a soulless girl, and they fall in love, and heaven and hell freak out about it, and angels don't like this, and Satan doesn't like this, and so that's the crux of the book, and it's ridiculous, it's silly, it's outrageous, and it's a lot of fun. The other one
that I hear a cat behind you meowing.
Yeah, that's Spooky Ninja Kitty. I named my publishing house and my
Spooky Ninja Kitty.
Spooky Ninja Kitty. Yeah, I named my publishing house and my film company after my cat because he is the sweetest.
Bring the cat on. Bring the cat on. They love that one. Cats and kids and food and all these things are on.
But did you read his contract? I mean, he's got a lot of.
Well, is he union? If he's union, then we're gonna have to pay for every meow we hear. See what we got.
I told you I just added a section onto my desk. So now I have to move this to get him because his food's back here. There you are, buddy. I got you. I got you a little. I got you. It's okay. I got you, little friend. All right, while I'm coming, pig Latin is not spoken by pigs and is not Latin. Go ahead and discuss. All right. So this is Spooky Ninja Kitty. I didn't know I was going to bring him on the show, but he is a tuxedo cat. And he was an old homeless cat around the home that I was living in North Hollywood. When I came into a rough bout of depression around the end of 2016, I was really upset with what was going on in Hollywood. And in particular, I was becoming more and more like the people I didn't like when I first moved to Hollywood. And so
How would you describe that? What would that be for people that aren't familiar?
Devalue and discard. There's a mindset of devalue and discard. What can I get from Gym Masters? How fast can I get it? And then when can I move on? And so everybody that I talked to, they were fake. I was fake. The whole industry was fake. The projects
like a leech.
The projects I was working on were people wanted to hire me to work on their stuff, but I had projects of my own that I wanted to get done, and people wouldn't fund that. So Adam Sandler production company people would come to me, hey, Tim, we need punch-up work on this script. And I'd be like, oh, great. Well, I've got these 6 scripts that I want to get. Yeah. We need you to work on this. And I fired my manager around that time because he said I reminded him of Chris Farley. And he meant that as a compliment. He wanted me to start putting together characters to pitch for Saturday Night Live. And I was insulted because all I heard was that I'm an obese man who's going to die of a drug overdose. And so just my mindset wasn't good. And the point is, at my lowest, I became friends with this cat. And the cat.
You do have Carly's passion and energy. You really do. Yeah. There's a similarity in the passion and the energy, and you can just roll with whatever's going on around you and just make fun and, comedy out of it. So you do have that, which is a positive. Yeah.
Thanks, man. It just took a little rewiring. It took some rebuilding. Yeah. I actually went to the Idaho mountains, and for a year I worked on novels, and I cashed in my bachelor's degree, and I worked with kids who have behavioral issues, anger problems. So I worked with a lot of kids who, to be honest, reminded me of myself when I was a little kid. People who they told me to fix the kid because the kid keeps getting into fights and biting people. But the truth is, the problem is the parents. But I don't get to fix the parents. So he's in a home where nobody appreciates school. They openly say in front of him, in front of me, we can't wait till you're old enough to drop out of school and get a job and start bringing some money into this house. They can't keep the lights on. They barely feed the kid. But it's in the Idaho mountains, and nobody steps in. It's not like a big city. So I spent about a year in 2017 just working with kids with issues, working on novels, and really thinking hard about what do I want with my life? Where do I want to be? What do I want to be doing? And that's why I moved to Las Vegas, was because being in California, I was in the fire and I got burned. But by living in Las Vegas, I'm close enough to the heat to feel the warmth, but I don't get burned. I go there when there's a pitch or a job or an opportunity, but I have the quiet and the solace of being on the outskirts of Vegas for my sanity and to have a decent life. So.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people are doing that. They're going to areas where it isn't in the thick of all the nuttiness and all the craziness as well. They're on the outskirts. They can hop on a train, a plane, drive the car, take a cab, whatever, and get in, but you can also get out. It's for your own sanity, right?
Well, otherwise everything you do is about the job. Everything you do, when you go to get a carton of milk, the person in front of you works for a studio. The person behind you has a script they've been working on. You know what LA is full of besides homeless people and pee? It also is full of everyone who's ever won a homecoming queen or homecoming king. They're all the prettiest and the brightest and the best, and they all show up with a me monster inside of them. Me. I'm the best. Me. I'm the best person from Roanoke, Idaho. Yeah, well, you know what? A 10 in Roanoke is an LA 7, so get in line, kid. And that they're all bitter and angry and frustrated. It's a weird place to live in.
Is that why you give out free hugs?
That is why I give out free hugs. I always do so well with people reacting to that, and just in general, I just try to live a life of abundance. And if you get something, it doesn't mean I lost out. We can all live in a world of abundance and opportunity, and there's endless every day that you're alive. There's a chance for love and money and friends, and it's all out there. It just takes going for it.
It's so true. Absolutely right. Yeah, you're spot on with that. Boy, he's very calm, cool, and collected.
He's like a little baby doll. He just we've got a good understanding. I had always heard that cats were a-holes. I always heard that cats just knock stuff off your desk and tear up things. My cat eats, sleeps, drinks, cuddles, poops. Like he's no trouble at all. He's just a sweetie pie, and he's old. The vet says he's a super senior, so I always look at it like I'm giving him his retirement home. So
now we've got a clip of you. It's about 1.5 minutes as well. Want to share that one?
That'd be great. Sure, let's do it.
All right, it's the CC clip. Here it comes.
If I was to ask you what company makes family-friendly films, what would you say? Disney, right? First thing that comes to mind. I also thought it was Disney until I started rewatching some of the classics I grew up loving as a kid. If Disney is so family positive, why don't they put a family in their film? Did you ever notice it's all broken families? Think about The Little Mermaid. There was Ariel and her dad with the big trident. Where's her mom? Beauty and the Beast, it was Belle. She had a chubby dad. Where's her mom? Aladdin, he was dating that hot chick Jasmine. She had a chubby dad. Where's her mom? Disney is an anti-mom. And they think they can just erase her out and no one's gonna notice. Well, I noticed. I was gonna write a letter, then I remembered a Disney film that had a mom in it. Bambi. That's right, they finally put a mom in the movie. In the first 5 minutes, they shoot her. Disney's messed up. I'm not gonna let my kids watch Disney anymore. I don't even have any kids.
Let there be light.
I cheated. I thought it was getting a little dark, so I threw a light.
Are you going to do a sermon now that you've got the light over you? It looks very angelic. I mean, like there's some ghost figures above. Yes. Father Tim is in the house. He's going to pray for us all and pray for society.
It's true.
I tell you. We got another clip here too we want to share. Now, this one is Unchained. This is the international trailer. And tell us about this project as well you're involved in.
You know what I was thinking while that clip was playing? I was thinking, we talked about Lovitz earlier. There's a clip on YouTube of me working with Jon Lovitz, of me introducing him and him coming up on stage. I should have gave that to you maybe next time. So Unchained was a movie that I did. so some guys were putting together an action movie, and they needed to get names. They needed some star power, and I know pretty much everybody. And if I don't know them, I know somebody that knows them. So I secured a couple of pro wrestlers for this. We have a Rock Riddle, who's a great Hall of Fame wrestler, and also a great publicist in Hollywood. But also this girl Taya Valkyrie, who was a wrestler. She made it to the WWE as Frankie Monet, and Eric Roberts, who you may have heard of. Eric Roberts, nominated for an Oscar. Julia Roberts' brother. I'm sure he hates that people say that, but he's a great actor in his own right. He was the lead villain for the first Expendables film.
We got to get him on the Jim Masters show for sure. Yeah, he's legendary.
Happy to do it. Like I said, one of the things within the film community, he has done too much work, and they're starting to say he's not as big a draw because, like I was joking with you earlier, you can get Eric Roberts for a ham sandwich. Like we got him for a day on our movie, and he's just, the guy likes to work. He likes to do whatever, but
likes to do what he loves doing. Yeah.
They say you should limit what you do. That way it means more. You're only in a few.
You're in more demand. They can't get enough of you. They want more, sort of.
Right. So I secured Eric Roberts and Ty and Rock Riddle, and this is a kind of a fight club for women called Unchained, and it's an indie action flick, but it's fun, and I thought I would share the trailer with folks just so you can see kind of what I've been up to.
Now, this is coming out or already out?
Oh, it's out. It's been out for 2 years. Yeah, it's
Where
on
do
all
people see it?
Amazon. You can
Amazon.
Amazon's good, and a bunch of other streaming services as well.
Do you like the whole streaming world now too, or are you somebody who used to love to go into the movie theaters and experience the whole? I'm sort of missing a little bit of the fact that a lot of the movie theaters are shutting down.
Well, it doesn't seem like there's just so much. There's so much of it that it doesn't seem special anymore. I'm a guy who.
That's a good way to put it. Right.
I'm a guy who makes movies, and I'm telling you, some of the conversations I have with fellow people who make movies is, let's start our own channel, or let's do our own sitcom, or because when you make a movie, it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of dealing with distribution, and then when it comes out, it's gone. You didn't know about these movies until I just told you. They've been out for 2 years. So
Right. There's so many movies that you're like, when did that come out? How did we miss that? Well, before, remember the way it used to be when summer blockbusters were coming out? The promo in advance was weeks, if not months in advance, building up, starting July, coming to theaters in August, even with Christmas movies coming in December. Now it's kind of like you have no idea what's what, and there's so much stuff, where before it really was an experience going to a drive-in movie, going into a movie theater. Yeah, it was expensive, and popcorn's $10, but still the experience of being in the big screen, the other people and their reactions, screams or laughs or whatever, or crying, whatever it is, and just being in a communal experience. And that's sadly disappearing. I really don't have a craving to watch, movies on a screen that's this big. I mean, I'm like, wait a minute, I can't even see it. You know what I mean? I just, I'd rather, this is okay, but I do like things bigger. I like more of I want it to sweep me off my feet. I don't want to have to struggle to, what's that?
Well, even the concept of who a star is. You and I are thinking of stars as movie stars. That's not what the kids think. The kids are like, I subscribe to this TikTok guy, and oh, look, they did a prank. I got this prank show, and those are stars to them. These are people who get
influencers.
Giant deals, and I still look at that like, that's a star. That's a I made a movie that's on the website here, thenoodles.com, the Noodles of Noodling, and it's a body positive, naturist, life affirming film. And in that community, there are people who have these streaming channels and Patreons and stuff where you can see their clips on a regular basis, and they're all arguing with me that that's the way to go versus making a movie and putting it out. And I just, sometimes I feel old, man. I'm
an old school sensibility, which isn't a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's an old soul. It's old soul a little bit, which is cool, because what it is you respect the craft, you respect the industry, you understand what the impact is, and some of the shine a little bit is just disappearing in certain ways, and that's unfortunate. It used to be like a thing to get out of your house and go to these things and do these things, and everything is going to be in one room with white walls and no color on a screen this big, and everybody's watching what everybody else is doing and copying what everybody else is doing, and blah. It's like,
yeah.
Blah. I mean,
I
I wouldn't have wanted to watch the Poseidon Adventure sink with all of those stars on a screen this big. I wanted to go to the theater and see it and hear it in sense around where the walls were shaking and oh my God, wow. Ooh, those classic disaster movies of the past. Totally different than when you see it, even when you see it on your TV. I mean, you got to get it like an 80-inch screen or something, but I don't know. It's just the experience of it all.
I know we're talking about movies, but let me give a slight parallel. And I know we're going to play that clip, but let me do a slight parallel to the book publishing industry, because some of the people that I coach, they'll say, oh my God, I really want to, sell this book or whatever. And I have to break it to them. Some of them are comedians who've been on TV, who've had specials, but like there's a guy in particular I'm thinking about. I got him a deal with one of the top 5 publishers, like a big one. And he sat down and he presented them. He had sent the manuscript. They liked it enough to set up the meeting. I was rah-rahing for him. He went to the meeting, and over lunch, they told him, I love your book. This is amazing. It's one of the best books I've ever written, but we're not going to publish it. And I'll tell you why. You don't have enough Twitter followers.
I had a conversation with somebody about that in my professional work, somebody I interviewed on television. Then I think I had it with a guest on here, and it was talking about that. Like, they didn't want to see the person's reel. They were not necessarily interested in the resume. It's how many followers they have on social media that was going to decide whether this person was going to get the gig, get the job, advance their life and their career with all of this incredible experience. And they're a good person and they work their butts off and they've put the time in. But if they don't have as many followers on TikTok or Instagram as the other person gets it. I think that's ridiculous.
Well, they don't want to cultivate. They don't want to cultivate.
Pathetic.
They don't want to cultivate an artist. They don't want to make the next Zen in the art of motorcycle maintenance. What they want is that quick cut. And if you're Snooki and you have 3 million Twitter followers, as soon as they put the book out, even if the book is crap, they're gonna sell, 500,000 right then and there on the first day. That's all they're thinking about. And that's from the
that's what the public wants, or is that what people think the public wants? Or is the public being made to think that's what they need and want? A lot of this is all marketing and psychology, all of it, the whole thing. You create this need and want for these things, and all of a sudden everybody follows what everybody else is doing like cattle, and they all have to have it. How many people wait in line for the next iPhone through lightning and hail and storms because they got to get the new one because it's a certain shade of purple? I've never done that in my life. I will never do that for a phone, or really I've never done it for tickets. I've never done it for anything, because next week it's going to be half price anyway. I've never burst through Walmart and trampled over people because a flat screen TV is $20 less on Black Friday than it will be next week. I've never done that. It's just not my mentality to do that wham bam kind of stuff, Yeah. How about you, Tim?
I'm
have you traveled through to get that black screen TV?
No. My phone is, I'm always behind on phones. Like, it's just technology in general. My assistant's coming over because my computer is at max capacity. I can't add anything, so we're gonna.
I have to keep deleting. Right, I got to take stuff off, put it on Vimeo or wherever to get to, because this is sort of like a therapy session, isn't it? Many guests say it turns out to be like a cathartic conversation that they don't expect, but they really like.
Well, there's a couple of stories I'll share with you, but we should probably get the clip out of the way. Let's do the Unchained, and then when we come back, I've got a couple of stories similar to that publishing thing I'd love to share with you.
Here is Unchained.
It's like every job in the city's been taken. I need something, anything to happen that will change things. I need some action.
Not everything in life goes the way we want it to.
So what's the film about?
I'm looking for a fighter.
Illegal underground fighting.
Exactly that, yeah, like underground illegal fighting.
And if something is too good to be true, it often is.
This is where you start your new life, or what's left of it. I run this little casa that you are now fortunate enough to live in. You will do what I say when I say it.
We train to fight. To fight who? Each other.
There are no knights in shining armors slaying dragons. Life's not a fairy tale. There's power, those that have it, and those that don't.
Your referee for this event will be... nobody!
You don't need to do this. Don't sink down to their level. You are better than that. You ready, girlie?
I'm being held against my will.
Aren't we all?
Very slick. You know, I'm looking at the production value, and it's very high end. Very, very high end. Nicely done, huh?
You know what? A friend of mine does $2 million
really
movies.
nice. Yeah.
He does $2 million movies. He did, his name is David DeFalco. He runs Dark Force Entertainment. And he did movies. He was the one who discovered Dave Bautista, put him in his first movie. It was called Wrong Side of Town with my good buddy RVD, Rob Van Dam, the pro wrestler. And anyway, we had a whole back and forth thing about how much money you need to be taken seriously as a movie. And it really comes down to how much effort, energy, the kind of team you put together. That movie that you just saw there was shot entirely because a lot of people dedicated themselves to the process to work on it, but it had a minute budget, a very, very,
it looks very expensive and high end, just the way it turned out, just from a aesthetic way. You know what I mean?
No, very small budget.
Was that all digital or film? What did you use?
Yeah, some of it was digital, but the effects were digital as well. But like, for example, there was a casting company in LA that wanted their performers to be part of a project that actually was released. A lot of times actors will work on things that never get out there. Look, Jim, I don't understand it. Why would anyone put money and time into something you don't release? But the first 5 movies I invested in as a producer didn't get released. The first movie I was an assistant director on, we shot, we had a budget, we had actors, we had stunts, we had props, we had everything. We shot the whole thing, never released. I don't know why people do that, but it's like this clout where they want to be able to walk around. I'm working on this. I've got this in development. I've got this in a stage. We're in post-production. We're in pre-production. And it's all crap.
Yes.
And so one of the selling points of that movie was a bunch of us got together and said, look, let's just put something out. And so because of that, a casting director gave us a ton of his talent free to cheap. And people were donating their time and volunteering to be a part of something that actually came out into the world. So I just say that to say it was a very, very, very low budget. We're talking like maybe $20,000. That's it.
Wow. That's amazing. It does look, like millions were spent on it. Nice job. Now, so people are asking, where can they see it? That is Amazon, you said?
Amazon, sure.
Yeah, because they want to see that.
And nowadays you can search on Roku or anything else. I would say if you want to see a body positive comedy, go to nudisthumorist.com or thenoodles.com. It's a body positive, silly, wacky, that one. You know, there's nudity, but non-sexual, body-affirming, Adam and Eve style nudity. So it's a ton of fun, and it's silly and ridiculous, and I loved it. It was a real passion project for me because I'm a nudist. I've always been a nudist. I go to nude resorts, beaches, clubs, and it's people don't understand the lifestyle. And so I wanted to make a movie that was silly and ridiculous, but showed people what it was really like. So
tell us about this too. You were involved in this, right?
That is a memoir. It was a collection of short stories, and they asked that. So I like to say this in bios. I'm like the only guy you'll talk to who has written for Girls and Corpses magazine and Fangoria, but also has written for Chicken Soup for the Soul. So there are elements of me that are dark, and then there are elements of me that are light and fluffy, like my cat. But that particular book you were showing had a collection of either good people who came to Las Vegas and turned bad, or bad people who came to Las Vegas and turned good. And so the story that I have in there, Neon Bastard.
Which did you do?
I was I was not a good guy. I told you.
You want to phone a friend on that, or?
No, I'm telling you, I was not a good guy. Towards the end of my LA years, I was becoming a scumbag. I was, you know, taking money for projects that I knew weren't going to go, and you know, I was doing things that I didn't like, but it's like being in prison. And then, you know, once you've been stabbed 20 times, you end up stabbing somebody. And somebody asks you, why'd you stab them? Well, because everyone keeps stabbing me. So I was becoming a bad guy. And so the memoir is about me moving to Idaho and going through some 12-step programs, going to some churches, getting deep into what is it that really, you know, who do I want to be in this world? You know, if I get hit by a van tomorrow, what am I leaving behind? And so that kind of helped me to focus on that's what the story's about, is becoming a decent, better person. And I also, you know, made up for all of my sins. Anyone who I've ever owed money to, I've paid plus money to make amends.
I'm still waiting for my 20.
I know. I'll split it to you. Hey, I've got a couple of stories I wrote down that I wanted to share with you. I think you're.
But now you have to show our lovely viewers watching around the world this big board you have of cheat topics, thoughts, ideas, just to show you what it takes sometimes to put these things together. Shows like this and everything else, where it looks so easy, so effortless, so automatic. That's what we want to do. We want to make it look so easy. But behind the scenes,
I just wanted to be a good guest. I wanted to do a good job for Mr. Jim Masters. So I put down some cheat sheet notes over here. And so I have.
Now, have you been checking off everything? Have we covered? Do you have what have we missed?
There's lots we haven't gotten to, but let me share one of them for you guys. Here's the story of how I got offered a Okay, here's the story. I don't want to give the ending. I don't want to give the ending first. So when I first started getting into writing, I had this idea of what writers were: published, paid writers, bestsellers, that type of people. And I thought it was a snooty, pompous club that I wasn't privileged with 9 masters to hang out with. And so I wrote stories. I sold short stories. I sold screenplays, and I wrote for magazines, but I had never published a novel. I had an idea for Soul Traitor, and I went to a meeting of the HWA, the Horror Writers Association. They handle the Bram Stoker Awards every year, which, by the way, I wrote a book with Clive Barker, and it won a Bram Stoker Award.
If you had just come over to our house, you would have had at least 9 masters to hang out with.
That's thanks, folks. Sorry.
Very quick.
So I go into the HWA and I'm talking about this idea I have for a book. Well, at the meeting, there's writers, there's, you know, various stages of development, and then there's people who run publishing houses. So this woman approached me at the end of the meeting, and she gave me her card, and she said that based on what I had said, you know, what I have done, and then what I said about the novel, she offered me a book deal. And she said, I would love to look at your manuscript. We would love to put your book out from our publishing house. Here's the card. Now, between you and me, I hadn't written it. So it was just a concept, an idea. So I took her card and I said, thank you very much, put it in my pocket, and I went on with my life. A few weeks, a few months later, I was at the LA Times Festival of Books, this big book fair in LA. And she approached me again because I was working the booth with the HWA guys. And she's like, can I talk to you, Tim? And I said, okay. And I went on this little walk. And she said, Tim, I've been thinking about why you didn't call us and why you didn't come back to us. And I've been talking with my team, and we think we know why. I insulted you when I offered you a one-book deal. An author of your magnitude and your power and your ability, you deserve better than that. So we would now like to offer you a 3-book deal if you would please publish with us. Now, I like to tell people that because what do you hear about when it comes to publishing books? Oh, you got to have a good query letter. You got to have an agent. You got to, no, you know what you got to be? Believe in yourself, be a bit of a talker, and it's all about razzle dazzle. I threw some sparkle dust in her eyes. She's offering me a 3-book deal. I didn't even write a book yet. That's how the industry works.
That's it. I tell you, it's for have another swig. You've earned it. Are those bottles getting bigger and bigger?
Yeah. I have a jug next. I just dipped my head in the swimming pool. So
and you haven't had to exit stage left yet either. You've got a big bladder.
So
most guests by now have to scoot off to get a tissue or whatever they usually say, and that's not what they're really getting.
It's pretty wild. Just an idea, like when people find out what it's really like, what the business is really like. Like one of the sad things was
industries. Yeah,
I thought when you got to the tippy top of the ladder, I was at a party for The Hangover 3, and like some of the biggest people in Hollywood were there, and I thought that when you get to the top, these are the people who care about art and opportunity. Nope. You know what they want? Sex and drugs. The biggest people, they just want sex and drugs. They cared more about the Asian model who was on Marham that night than, anything about the industry, the business. So
has that disappointed you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's disappointed me. It's also leveraged things. James Gunn is a friend of mine. We met through Troma, and I've known him when he was just doing the very first Guardians of the Galaxy film. And I've watched his rise from doing Troma films to Scooby-Doo. The point is, like, once you know the rules, you can start to break the rules or work them against each other or not get so invested. I told you about the Country Music Channel, but I've done 4 pilots for TV shows that I was in, that I wrote, that I'd read.
You mentioned Troma. Lloyd Kaufman's been on our show.
Oh, I don't doubt it. He was on my panel at last year's San Diego Comic-Con. That's one of the places you can watch my nudist comedy. The Noodles of Noodling is streaming on Troma right now.
It is on Troma. Wow.
Yes. And you've got behind the scenes footage. You've got extra scenes. You've got all kinds of even an intro where he talks about me. I go way back with Lloyd. Lloyd's.
You like to do the cons and, talking, taking questions and visiting with people. You enjoy doing that?
I do. I extremely do. It's a recharging of my battery. When I go there, I'm surrounded by people. The question is, where did they come from? How did they end up here? What's the thing that they love so much? It's just, those are my people. The Comic-Con people are my people. I could literally lean against a wall and talk to anybody, and 9.5 times out of 10, they're a good dude. They're a good person. That's just the kind of people that gravitate towards conventions, Comic-Cons, nerds, people who have something they're fascinated by, the creatives that want to get something out there into the world, whether it's a comic book or an album or a costume they want to make. But it's pretty cool. I love those people.
What are some of the other things you're excited about you might want to share that are coming up that you're looking forward to? Got a lot on the plate already.
Yes. Well, I'm
sorry, we've run out of time. No.
Nice. Well, I just shot because the nudist thing, like, I had a nude stand-up comedy tour. The audiences were naked, the comedians were naked, and we just shot a show called Naked and Not Afraid for Roku. And it's a nudist talent show. So kind of like America's Got Talent, but it's like Naked Americans Got Talent. And so I co-host that with Kate Lane, and she's amazing. And there's all kinds of wonderful, fun, silly, ridiculous naked acts. So that's a hoot, because we're trying to teach people that it's not for the closed-minded, and nude isn't lewd, and it doesn't all have to be sexual. It's ridiculous to think that just because you're naked, it's suddenly something sexual related. So I got that TV show coming out on Roku. Hell's Coming for You is coming out on all the streaming platforms here.
Is this on a different cheat sheet you have on the right? You have one on the left and one on the right, or is it's got another cheat? He's got another one.
Absolutely. You think this is
I
my
want
first
to know
rodeo?
what's on those. I want to know what's on the Post-it notes behind you too. Bread and milk. Bring in the car for an oil change.
Oh, I've got, buddy. This is a mad scientist lab. Okay, if you could only see what's on the desk, like I've got a bat cave. I've got Peter Parker, Spider-Man's like New York thing. I've got little dioramas.
Your thing isn't movable, is it? Because some people have given us tours of where they are. They take us around. Is that movable, or is it a fixed PC you're on, or something?
I'm on a fixed PC. That would be cool. I should have taken. Now that I'm thinking about some of this stuff, I could have done like a tour.
Is it anything that George Burns would like to see?
Hello, George Burns. I love that. That's freaking
My
awesome.
aunt collected dolls, a huge, serious collector of all kinds of dolls. So this got passed down to me. He usually always pops on our show.
That's great.
He's enjoying it. He's got a cigar. He's got his red pocket square. He's loving it.
I was wondering at first if your background was real or if that was like an image,
Oh, all this? Oh, no, this is all real. Yeah, this is all.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've got all kinds of stuff around me. I would love to show you at some point. Ghostbuster.
One of the viewers even sent me a mini me, a Mr. Lovitz doll.
You can get custom figures. I have custom action figures of myself in the house. I've got so much. Wait, but I was plugging stuff. I don't want to. I have a residency at the Nerd. I have a show this Saturday at the Nerd on Fremont Street in Las Vegas. Please come to the show. We're doing longer sets. I'm working with Kevin Winnie and Day Carter, and it's a freaking blast. I have a show around St. Patrick's Day with. Do you know Mitch Fattel?
Haven't met personally, but know of. Yes.
Great dude. So I'm doing a show with him and Rob Van Dam, the pro wrestler who's been doing stand-up for 10 years.
Sure.
So it's the three of us at the Firelight Barn. That's around St. Patrick's Day. For the books, I can't say the ghost written books that I have coming out because that's what they pay me to shut up. I'm like a referee in a wrestling match, but I've got two celebrity wrestler memoirs that are going to be coming out very soon, and they're so good. Oh, comic books. Publishing. I've got this great line of comic books now. Spooky Ninja Kitty comics with the Golden Tiki and Evil Pie. It's got Evil Knievel fighting pizza monsters. We've got pirates and a kraken with a big butt. It's a butt kraken, huh? And there's all kinds of outrageous stuff. So the comic books are going great. We do corporate comics as well for people's brands. And it's a good life. But I wanted to tell you a story about somebody that I was coaching.
Merlin wants to know, when is your assistant showing up?
She said she was going to show up at 6. It's 5:45 now. So
she's on her way. She's on her way. Do you have a list of things for her?
Me with a list? I don't know.
All those things you raffled off earlier, huh? All that big list, huh?
So I want to tell you this. So this guy,
all that for a cookie.
This guy I was coaching wanted to write for a TV show. Okay, that was his dream. He was a stand-up comic. He had a lot of success. He wanted to write for a TV show. So I started working with him and pulling some strings and doing some connections, and we ended up getting him a position writing for the Ellen Show. And I always try to tell people to figure out, what does success mean to you? Because you have to define it, because other people, you don't let somebody else define what success is. If you want to be successful, know what it is. Because for him, here's an example of how it can get screwy. His idea of success was writing for the Ellen Show. Well, he lasted 1 season and then they fired him. So the season that he wrote for got nominated for an Emmy and won for writing. So they mailed him an Emmy. And so he called me all depressed with his Emmy, talking about how he was unemployed. So he didn't know, is this good? Is this bad? I got what I wanted, but I got fired. I won an Emmy, but I'm unemployed. And so that's how complicated and crazy Hollywood can make people. Like, for example, just being a stand-up comic and wanting to be successful. In the beginning, you're like, oh, I just want a special. And then you're like, oh, it was a special with a bunch of other people. I want my own special. And then you're like, I just want to be a guest star on somebody's show. I just want my own show. Oh, I had a show, but it was a pilot and it got canceled. Oh, I had a show, but it didn't last long enough for syndication. Oh, I had a show, but I've never had a movie. Oh, I had a bit part in a movie. And then I had a movie, and then the movie didn't make much money. It's like they keep moving the bar, and you're never happy because you never get there. So you have to know, what is success to you. For me,
what is success to you?
I'm in a condo in Las Vegas. I am creative and I don't have a boss. I work for who I want to, when I want to. My bills are paid. I got money in the bank. I got a cat. I got a 3-bedroom condo. And for a kid who grew up with a mother who was on welfare, the fact that I have a guest room with a bed and a dresser, and when people can come over, they can stay here, and I can show them around, and I can get a limo or go for a night on the town because I can afford these things. I can fly out someplace. I can do that. Is success to me. I don't need to be a $9 million guy. I am happy. I am content. I am living a life of abundance. And if I can do it, old loudy fathead over here, then anyone can do it. Whatever you're going through, whatever your situation is, you can do it. Just identify, what do you want to do? What are you willing to sacrifice? Because that's an important word. When I started in stand-up, Daniel Tosh told me this. Daniel Tosh gave me this advice before he got the TV show Tosh.0. So that's how you know it works, because he gave me the advice, and then he used that advice to become very successful. His advice was, and I'll explain why after I tell you it, because I don't want you to have a negative reaction to it at first. He says, don't get married. Surround yourself with good comedy friends. Don't give up. It's not the successful people that make it. It's the ones that don't give up. That's it. Now, he's not saying, look, if you found the love of your life and all that, that's great. What he's talking about is focus. And a lot of people hide behind the people in their life for why they don't achieve their dreams. I would love to do it, but, and don't have that. Don't put yourself in a position where you have, obviously, taking care of kids and having a wife and having all these people in your life clouds the vision of what your goal is. My goal was to work in ridiculous, outrageous, zany entertainment, and that's why I'm doing it. But if I had a wife who was like for example, being a stand-up comic, your day job starts at night. You work from 7 to 2 in the morning, and then you're networking after the show. So if you're with a partner who says, why are you always sleeping until noon? Well, because I got home at 5. That's my job. So you have to go into all this. Like, for example, a lot of people will hit me up and say they want to have success in entertainment, but they live in Ohio. And it's like, well, guess what? I'm sorry. Johnny Hollywood isn't going to be walking through your living room. The smallest thing that you can do to achieve success is to physically move so that the people you're around work in the industry. So you can network and schmooze and meet people who are trying to do it. Now, you can do it too much, and that's what I told you when I had my burnout, but you at least need to do it somewhat, because if you're sitting there making the greatest art in the world, but nobody knows about it, one of the number one pet peeves I have for writers is writers, instead of finishing their manuscript so we have something to edit, they rewrite the first chapter 20 times.
Yes, right.
What is that? You have to finish it before we can edit it. Writing is rewriting. So that's why things like NaNoWriMo are so successful, because they force you in National Novel Writing Month every November to force out 50,000 words. A standard novel up for awards and stuff is around 55,000 words. That's why a first draft is 70, so you can cut it down enough to win a bestseller list or win an award. The point is, you can't make anything successful unless you have a first draft. So don't compare your first draft to somebody else's finished work. Compare it for what it is. It's just a first draft. Then you go back through, you move things around, you edit things, you change it. But if you don't have something to work on, then you're never going to get there. And they don't do it. People just rewrite the first chapter a million times. My good, my old friend Kelly Mauricio, she's a female comedian and a producer. She rented a castle in Ireland. Gym Masters. She rented a castle because she felt she needed to go to Ireland, be in the environment of a castle, and that's where she'd write the great novel. Well, guess what? It didn't work out, because if you can't write it in your damn living room, you're not going to write it in your castle in Ireland. It's all up here.
And you thought he had nothing to say, folks. Feels good, doesn't it? But it's so true. You're talking truth. I mean, have you always known this, or are these things that you learned along the way?
I've learned by I've learned by being disappointed in people. Many times in my life, Jim, I've wanted better for the people around me than they want for themselves. And it's very disappointing when you watch somebody who has a lot of talent and ability and they just don't do it. And then later they see that I'm doing something and I have some success.
Do you think it's fear? They're afraid. They're afraid of success, afraid of the responsibility that comes with it all, or you think there's this? I know a lot of people say that a lot of times it's fear that holds people back. They want it, they dream of it, but they don't take those steps because fear of the unknown, taking the risk, and fear of then having to live up to and constantly maintain next level. Sometimes that scares people and keeps them stuck in time.
I think it's comfort. I think their comfort level, they get used to a certain routine and they don't want to break outside of that. The other thing is that they don't want to step up and put the energy in. A lot of the things that I do, the business that I'm in, looks to a layman like it's easy. Acting in a movie, doing stand-up. Those are the kinds of things that people will walk up to me all the time and say, oh, you know who should be on stage? My Uncle Jim. Oh, he's hilarious at parties. Oh, that's great. Why don't you tell Jim he needs to be funny Thursday, twice on Friday, 3 times Saturday, and on Sunday in front of a spotlight, in front of 300 strangers. Okay, Jim, go. It's not the same thing. It's not easy. It's not, there's an art form.
Same thing with hosting and all these things. It's the same thing, you know, just because you got a cell phone doesn't mean.
We're acting. I just had a guy come up to me at the Nerd Bar the other day, and he said that he wanted to act in movies. And so my response is, great. Let me see your demo reel. What's that? Oh, you haven't done anything. Well, you're not going to learn on my movie. You know, like I want to work with somebody who's already at it. They're putting the time in. They a headshot, a demo reel. Are you in any unions? Why not? Are you studying? Have you taken a class? I just want to know that they put their effort in, because you're not going to walk on my set and not know what, okay, we're going to shoot again and back at 1. What does that mean? Okay, I need you to slate for camera. What does that mean? Hey, do a Google search. If this is what you want to do with your life, learn the basic steps. Jeez. Anyway,
he's had a lot to say, I tell you. You know, you may be there towards the West Coast, but you still have that East Coast energy and vibe. You still do. I know what it is. There's a certain, like, you know, you can't get BS'd. You know what I mean? You've got like a third eye that's there. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, they're just BSing themselves. You know?
Yeah. It is a certain East Coast thing that's just, you can't, like, you know, keep the traffic moving, folks. Let's go. Come on. What's the real story and authenticity? You have an authenticity to you that's actually refreshing, you know, and I'm sure you've heard that from a lot of people. Like, you wear your heart on your sleeve. You're right there.
I do it, you know, but let's be honest. It also attracts haters. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Sure.
Anytime you try to do something and you're blowing up your bubble, it rubs up against other people's bubbles. And one of the tours that I put together, because I like a genre for a comedy tour. One of them is the Blue Zone Comedy Tour, which is raising money for disabled comedians. And so we did a show with the National Endowment for the Arts. You know, we're just doing the second one this upcoming Saturday. And wouldn't you know it, a show about disability, highlighting disabled comedians, raising money for disabled causes, has gotten a bunch of hate from a lot of comedians online, where they're, you know, just putting it down and bad mouthing this. And, you know, people
you think
will
it's
find a way
because
to
they
hate
didn't think of it first.
Well, I think it's because they're not on it. Everybody wants to, suddenly everyone's disabled, you know, oh, I write with my left hand. Like, everyone's trying to pretend like, oh, you need me for the next show. Oh, you need me. Oh, how dare you do this and that. And it's just, you know, I told my dear friend Dylan, because he's getting to a point where he's going to pop. He's been at this for about 8 years. And I warned him. I said, and I told you this before we started, the best people I've ever met in my life are writers. Some of the worst people I've ever met are comedians. And in particular, when you're having success, that's when other comedians crap on you, because comedians are not going to say, like, I don't know if you do stand up, Jim, but if you had a stand up gig, a comedian, most comedians are not going to come over and say, congratulations, that's great, man, you deserve it. A comedian will say, who books that? How do I get on? Hey, do you need an opener tonight? Listen, I'm just looking for like an 8-minute set. Can you just like squeeze me in? Hey, can you
I get
recommend
that a lot, even with what I do and my professional work. I've gotten that all the time. What you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right. Right.
And
Who,
so I
who got you that? How'd you get there? How did you, let's see, many years doing it, lots of experience, lots of blood, sweat, and tears, late hours, nights, weekends, giving it my all, busting my butt, you know what I mean? Doing the right thing, working hard, going overtime, extra mile. That's how I am doing what I'm doing that I love so much.
That's
It
right.
wasn't
And that's
just,
it.
it wasn't just like worked for it, you know, worked
And
for it.
earning the reps
Keep
as a
working.
comedian, it's being a part of triple runs. It's driving 6 hours and getting paid with cheese sticks. You know, you put your time in. You put
Cheese
your energy
sticks.
in.
That is a funny one to pick, cheese sticks. Still, the fact that you said Rancho Cucamonga, isn't that a great name for a town?
Brother, I laughed so hard the first time I heard it because
I'm
I
going
thought they made it up. It sounded like a magician's word, you know?
right. Like ho hocus. Yes.
Rancho Cucamonga. It sounded absolutely ridiculous. I remember I laughed. I made him say it like 3 times before I came out
So
there.
here's my question. With all of this that you've been sharing and all of this incredibleness that's happened and all these various people you've worked with and all the creativity and accomplishments, more to come, how do you stay balanced? How do you stay well? How do you stay sane through it all? How do you stay connected to who Tim is and, joyful and keep, what are the blessings and joys that keep you on the track as best as you can be going forward? How do you, what are the reserves you call upon to keep that happening through all of the craziness and ups and downs of all of it?
I have worked with a life coach, and I have, not that I'm going to get super woo woo on you. I'm not going to show you my vision board, but I have 5 goals. Every year I have 5 goals. And when I wake up, I look at them and I say them. And then I have 3 things I'm grateful for every day. And then I attend some meetings from time to time that are inspirational, that are enlightening. And I listen to speakers and I participate and I coach. Sometimes the motivation and the ability to keep going comes from the people around me, watching them succeed, watching their success becomes my success, watching people actually make it and get there. I may be harder on people nowadays than I used to be because of so many people dropping off and not reaching their potential. But when I work with somebody and I tell them, you know, these are the things that you say you want to do, so I'm going to push you. We're going to come up with a timeline and we're going to say, where are you going to be in 3 months and how are we going to work towards it and how are we going to get there? When obstacles come up, how are you going to overcome it? And that way, when it does come up, they can't hit me with, I'm working with a writer right now and he has to get me 6,000 words every week. And then he does an addendum where we go over and I ask questions and he follows up. If he has a week where he gives me 3,000 words, there is hell to pay. And I will come down on him like fire from the gods. So because
it's like the WWE voice.
It's me and him in a steel cage match this Thursday, but like
live on pay-per-view.
I have to keep him on track. I have to make sure if this is what you want, that's what you pay me for. So don't pay me for nothing. We're gonna get there. And I mean, it's some of the things dealing with corporate comics. Do you know people will sign an account with me, pay me quite a bit of money, and then not finish the job? I got paid to do 4 books. It was 2 comics and 2 traditional novels. They paid me all the money, and then they wouldn't get certain docs in. They wouldn't get certain things in time. They wouldn't get a photographer to get photos for something. And so the time frame ends, and I keep checking in, and then they don't take it serious. And then finally I say, well, that's it, and I'm moving on. And so they paid me because they had an idea, and then they couldn't get their stuff in line to finish the damn thing. Wow. So it's not just individuals, it's corporations. It's people like to talk. There's a lot of talk. There's very little walk in this world.
Yeah. A lot of it's just smoke and mirrors. Absolutely. Yeah. What would you say to somebody who's watching right now who's thinking about going into this line of work?
Which line of work, sir? I have 90.
Comedy.
Stand-up. For stand-up, I recommend it's a little hack, but I think you should do it because it's a rite of passage. I think you need to buy The Comedy Bible by Judy Carter. It's a lot of people like to make fun of it, but it has the basics. Buy the book because it'll encourage you to write. There is a science to joke writing. There is a structure to it. You don't want to just go on stage and be a smiley person. There is a way of talking for stand-up. So for example, and look, just so you, whatever you think of me, don't think you're just getting this advice from me. What I'm going to tell you right now is from Dana Carvey. Dana Carvey from Saturday Night Live. This was one of the bits of advice that he gave me when I was working with him at the Ontario Improv. He told me his number one pet peeve for comedians, and I agree, I've seen this, is that they go up and they do this long setup for one punch. And then they have to do another long setup for a punch and another long setup for a punch. So it would be the example of, I was at the grocery store the other day and I got my cart and I was going in and then I was reaching for a banana and then he tells some joke about a banana. And then anyway, so me and my friend Bob, we were fishing the other day and I caught this and it's like, it's all this setup. The thing is, once you have the audience there, you tag the hell out of it. Once I have you at the store in the fruit section, I better hit you with every fruit joke I know because you want to tag. You've already done the setup. They're there. So now just tag the crap out of it. And then when you go to another setup for a punch, you can then do what's called a callback. So you bring them back to the fruit. So now when I leave the grocery store and I'm fishing with Bob, I mention, oh, and then here's that banana again, like a callback to the earlier setup. So it's setup, punch, tags, callback. That's the basic. The other thing is rule of threes. You always land on the funny. So it'd be like, yeah, I'm packing for that trip. I remember to bring a sandwich, a water bottle, and a hippopotamus. The third thing is the funny thing. You always land on the funny. Sometimes people have to move things around in their act to understand that. But then there's stage presence, moving the mic stand behind you. There are two pet peeves that won't get you booked at a club. Number one, you leave the mic stand because an amateur comic is all up in their own head. They're thinking about the jokes that they've been practicing all night in front of the mirror, and they forget the small things, like they take the mic out and then they leave the damn stand. Now that I've told you, you'll see this. Go to an open mic. That's what
look for that. Yeah,
they'll perform in front of that is the number one hack move. Move the mic stand, take a breath, look at the audience. Where are you? Who are these people? Live in the moment. Otherwise, somebody will drop a tray of glasses and you'll be so caught up in your set that you don't comment on. They want you to acknowledge that you're having an experience. Stand-up comedy is a conversation, but it's the part of the conversation where you're talking. So it's like you and me right now. I'm talking. So that's what it is. It's a conversation, but without you, there's no stand-up. So it's a rule of three. Move in the microphone. Don't twirl the cable. Amateur comics will, out of nervousness, they'll twirl the mic cable around their hand. So they won't just hold the mic. They'll have a twirling of that won't get you booked at a club. So those are the basics. Get the book. Get on stage. The interesting thing about the entertainment business is whether you're Jerry Seinfeld or you're, Bobby Binklesworth, the first time you get on stage, you're a comedian. The first time you get paid $1, you're a professional comedian. So the playing field is all about time, energy, effort, making friends. And then remember what I told you, that everyone will be supportive when you're not a threat. As soon as you're good enough to take bookings from them, they're going to start hating on you, and it's okay. It's part of the business. Just get a thick skin.
That's it. Absolutely. This was cool, my friend. This really was cool. The conversation went in so many different avenues, and that's why I don't script it. And I don't do pre-prepared questions. I like the conversational style, the ad lib, and wherever it takes us, it takes us. Congratulations and kudos on all the different variables and all the things you're working on. The fact you also coach people as well. You're a speaker, an actor, a producer, best-selling author, headlining comedian, all of the above. And that's just on a Thursday, folks. And it was really cool to have you here. And I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you, Tim, and the show met whatever expectations you had.
Two last things. I would say anybody out there that wants to figure out what they so here's the thing. Do you have a little pen and a paper next to you, Jim?
Actually, I don't.
Okay. I'll just ask you to think this then. I usually ask people to write this down, but What is the one thing you don't, and I say this to your listeners and to you, what is the one thing you don't answer, just to yourself, what is the one thing you don't want anyone to know about you? Think about it. The one thing that you're going to take to your grave. It's a secret, it's a crime, it's something you don't want people to know about you. Let me know when you got it.
I think I have it. Yeah.
Okay. That is what you should be writing about. That is what should be in your art. That is the thing that you have the most passion about. So in whatever form it comes out, I always tell people that when I do speaking engagements, I open it by telling everybody to take out a piece of paper and write down what's the one thing you don't want anyone to know about you. Hide it, keep it to yourself. And then I move on. I give this, 45-minute speech or whatever. And then at the end, because they forgot about that, then I go back to it and I say, I want you to look at that again. That's what you should be writing about. And so I always give people that. And then the only other thing I wanted to say was I have a great piece of advice for anticipation and building up some interest and some excitement. So it's a really great way to deal with it. So I'll tell you it next time.
I like that. Stay tuned. I like the way you lean back. Does that chair have a lot of colors on it? I see a lot of color on the chair. Or is that just a jacket?
No, it's a hoodie. It's a hoodie. So it's a little sherbert colorful hoodie that I got at the Magic Circle in Arizona near Quartzsite.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Great sage advice and wisdom and wit shared today on the Jim Masters Show, entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. This was really, really fantastic and thoroughly enjoyed all the time. Chatted almost 2 hours, ad-lib completely. Oh, yeah. Who do we got there?
Raphael. And then let me grab a Ghost Rider for you. This is a limited edition from last year's San Diego Comic-Con, Ghost Rider, celebrating 50 years of Ghost Rider. Hot Wheels. So anyway,
Hot Wheels. Oh yeah, I still have all my Hot Wheels, all my Matchbox cars.
I had to grab something. I have so much here. Oh my
Here's Gilligan from Gilligan's Island. This came from, of course, Gilligan was played by Bob Denver. This came from his wife Dreama, who was a guest on our show. And then if you like Back to the Future, there's Mayor Goldie Wilson, and Don Fullilove was on the show. And he sent this along too. So they've said, we've seen the sets and you got to have the Gilligan. You've got to have the Don Fullilove. We got the I, Jimmy Genie bottle back there too.
I'm a huge fan of Back to the Future. Rob Van Dam and I went to all the locations where
Doesn't that look like him or what?
Brother, we went to the houses. We went to the locations. We went where the dad was hit by the car and all that. I mean, it's great. I freaking love it.
Stuff. Yeah, he was a guest on our show. Don was a guest. Yeah.
That's amazing. Have you ever had any wrestlers on your show?
Actually, I don't think we have. I'm trying to think. We've had, a lot of people from all different backgrounds, but I don't think any wrestlers. No, I don't think at the moment. So what are you going to do next? Make a sandwich? Make a sandwich?
I don't have time to eat. like Jesse Ventura. I don't have time to bleed. No, she's going to be showing up any minute. I'm going to move this stuff off my computer.
Yeah, it's past her time, right? She probably knows you're on the air. She's watching.
Somebody was texting me. For all I know, she's at the door. Oh, she says, on the way, Jesse's with me. That's her guy. Okay. What's the other thing? Oh, I was going to ask you about Out of This World. Are you a fan of that 80s sitcom, Out of This World?
Oh, yeah. Remember that one? Sure.
Do you know Buzz Belmondo, the neighbor? Thinking of it.
I haven't. Why? Do you know?
He was a dear friend of mine when I got started in Hollywood. Buzz Belmondo and Carl Bradley was a network executive at NBC. And real quick, I'm sorry, I'm so full of stories. They took me out to lunch when I first started producing comedy shows, and because he was a network executive and Buzz had been a star of an 80s TV show, they were giving me advice and input about how Hollywood really works. And they said at some point in my career, I'm going to have to choose between art or money. And when that comes, what are you going to choose? And I sat there and I was honest with him and I said, I think you want me to say art, but I think I would choose money. And they had a big laugh and a bunch of smiles, and they said that's the right answer. They said the problem is that people go for art too soon and they go broke. But if you go for money, then with that money you can make more art.
You can do your art. Like I was saying earlier, this really was terrific. I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you, Tim, and the conversation and episode met the expectations you had. We had a great
I'm sorry,
time.
Jim. I know you keep trying to get rid of me, and I just keep having more stories. That's what happens when you write this marker board.
No, that's usually how I do that. And I say, we'll keep the porch light on for you and all that fun stuff. Plus you got you've got your assistant coming, right?
I do. She should be here any minute. Yeah.
Or is this all fake? There's no assistant. You're just saying that. Excuse me, Tim. I said, Jim Masters, I have an assistant coming. Her name is Wanda.
Yes, Wanda will be here. No.
She cooks, she cleans, she does the taxes, she does everything.
Even drives a taxi. That's
drives a
taxi.
taxi.
And a taxi. That's right.
Right. Oh my God. This was fantastic. Really cool. A pleasure meeting you, Tim. And again, good luck with everything. Stay in touch. You know, we will keep the porch light on for you. You're welcome back. And spread the word about the Jim Masters Show series. We're doing something unique here. And it was a lot of fun to learn about your background. You were very open and raw and honest and real and funny.
Let's say a thank you. Let's say a thank you to Paul Atreides for setting us up. Thank you, Paul.
That's right. Who was a guest on our show as well. An amazing
and he's in my
guy.
movie. He's in Hell's Coming for You.
He's in the movie as well, right? Did you enjoy yourself, Tim?
No! I want to speak to your manager.
I bet you he was the same way when he was 5 years old. I don't want to eat the broccoli.
No.
He's the same.
It was a pleasure. I love what you're doing. I love the show. I'm happy to send you pro wrestlers. I'm happy to hook you up with old Eric Roberts and whatever I can do to help out. Big supporter, big fan, very professional. I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Boy, you read that script perfectly. I like when you lean back. You look like very satisfied and content, like a director.
You know, that's a sales tip. They say in sales, you're supposed to sit back and speak slow. When you lean forward and you talk really fast, then it gives the impression that you want it to happen too fast. But if you tip back and listen, Jim, we're all friends here. It's like a whole different style.
Well, start cleaning up the room. The assistant's coming.
All right.
Tim, this was awesome, Tim. Truly. Thanks for stopping by. We do appreciate Paul connecting us. We really appreciate that. It is about, good people, recommending good people, and that's what it's all about. And, you're making your mark. You've made your mark. You got much more to show us, and really appreciate all the time. It was really awesome, my friend.
I'm reading the comments, some really great comments, some engaged people.
Our Lovity viewers watching all around the world. Yeah, they're sort of like our studio audience here. I like the interactivity, and I always bring that in because a lot of stuff I do on television and radio, not all of it, but a lot of it is live. So I like to have that, you're on stage and everything. You like that feedback, the energy, and you feed off that, and then you give it back tenfold. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, embrace the silence. It's
as we call it, Lovity around here at Jim.
Lovity, yes.
Lovity.
Yes.
Exactly.
Lovity live.
You got look at him leaning back there. He looks like a kingpin. Tim is the kingpin of Vegas. He's really running the place. He's running the place. He's a casino manager. Have you done stuff with the casinos? Do you do any work besides being on stages there?
Sure, I've set up residencies. We've had a few at the local casinos.
That's right. You've got the residency. Yeah.
Yep. I've done, a bunch of them. So that's, there's good and there's bad, and it's good to get stage time. It's good to work on the things. It's an industry, it's a business. They want to sell food and drinks. They don't care so much what's on stage as long as there's button seats. That's part of the thing. It's like, you and I care about the craft and the art, and they're just like, it's the schnooky thing. It's the how many Twitter followers. It's all about let's sell those drinks. So
that's it.
Anyway. All right, brother. I'll see you next time.
Take care, Tim. It was a pleasure. You be well. All right. We'll talk again soon. Cheers. Tim Chizmar live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Yeah. Wasn't that cool? What a great conversation. We chatted we're just under 2 hours, and it was free form, free flowing, nothing scripted, nothing prepared other than, the bulletin boards that he had with all of the things he was going to check off. I bet we probably only got to about 40% of what he wrote on those big poster boards of things he wanted to get to, but he squeezed a lot in, and so did I, and it was really cool. And so did you guys watching and commenting in our JMS Live Lovely chat room, which you can always be a part of when you're a subscriber to the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, where we house hundreds and hundreds of episodes, child stars, sports stars, musicians, actors, inspirational people, comedy, culinary artists, from Broadway, Hollywood, television, film, and everyday people just doing great things that inspire. That's what we do here at the Jim Masters Show, sort of an old school way about it, like Carson and Cavett. And really, actually, I was telling you that I got a wonderful letter from one of our past guests who said that all of his fans were watching the episode. They loved it. And they wrote to him and said, that Jim Masters is kind of like a mix of Jack Parr, Johnny Carson, and Dick Cavett rolled into one. I said, I'll take it. There was really a kind comment for his fans to say. Some nice comments coming in here. Kathleen Walker, hope you're feeling better there. I know you've been under the weather in New York City. In the Big Apple, thank you, Jim, for another great show. Have a great night. Go eat. I know I haven't eaten dinner yet. And it's approaching, what do we got here? Is it 10 o'clock yet almost? Yeah, it's got to be. It's almost 10, right? Is it 9:50? I can't, the font's too small. I can't see that. What? Just know it's past 9 o'clock here Eastern. Time to eat. And thank you very much. And Austin Fields in the house here. Another wonderful show. Please subscribe for great content. Thanks, Austin, for watching as well. And all these great viewers and supporters. And this was great. You guys are fantastic. Hey, gang, around here, at the Jim Masters Show, we don't say goodbye. We say see you later. Ciao, cheers, hasta la vista, shalom, sayonara, moya loop, take care, cheerio, slancha, be well. We'll see you on the next episode. We always have a lot of fun, deep conversations, poignant moments. And when you're live, anything can happen. I do want to let you know that we've got a great guest coming up on Sunday. And hey, gang, if you've been searching for the love of your life, well, we've got an expert who's coming on the show. She is a coach. She is a phenomenal author and a speaker. Marty Spencer Devlin is in the house, best-selling author and speaker. And she wrote a book, The List Method, about how you can find the love of your life. And there's a lot of, and it isn't just a matter of bumping into somebody at a supermarket. There's a lot of variables to it. She's going to share them exclusively on our show Sunday in advance of Valentine's Day. That's why we booked her to come on now, because her book is also releasing on Valentine's Day, which is kind of cool. She's all excited. She's going to be with us on Sunday. Special time, earlier, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, and 11 a.m. Pacific, gang. Okay, so it'll be an afternoon show for you guys. And that's this Sunday. Check that out. Monday, Pepper J is going to be with us. She's extraordinary. She's an award-winning music and film producer and actress. She has been in a lot of great movies. She has produced a lot of great music, and she's originally from Hollywood. She makes her life in Nevada, and just about an hour west of Vegas, actually, in Pahrump. And, remember John Michael Ferrari was on the show, that brilliant singer. She manages and works with him as well. She's got a lot of stories to tell coming up Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Jim Masters Show, entertainment, lifestyle, variety talk show series designed to bring back the lost art of conversation, like a lot of our guests and viewers have said, and to do it with a lot of passion and excitement. Thanks for all the great comments. You guys were fantastic. And Sherry watching, and Merlin watching, and everybody, wherever you're watching around the world. Don't forget, you can see the episode again in its entirety. If you missed anything, you joined us late, you can see the whole thing archived on our YouTube channel. We do, and that's Jim Masters TV. Don't forget to give this episode a hearty thumbs up, leave a comment, drop a comment on the comments section of this episode and all the episodes you enjoy. And don't forget to click that subscribe button. Yeah, and just so you know, I know they use the word subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. You click it, you're part of the Jim Masters Show Lovity Squad, which we lovity ourselves. Hey, we thank Tim Chizmar for joining us here. Best-selling author, award-winning speaker, headlining comedian, actor, giving out those free hugs and so much more. Again, you can check him out really just about everywhere. Here's his website, timchizmar.com. Learn about cool things he's got up his sleeve, which is a lot. And we appreciate his time. We appreciate your time as well. This is your host, Jim Masters, here at Lovity Hall, delivering all the content and hopefully some good smiles and poignant conversations for all of you. Wherever you're watching around the world, we do love you all. We appreciate you being here. It means the world to us. Spread the lovity. Tell everybody you know. Don't keep it a secret. Let them know about what we're doing here, which is special, unique, little old school quality with a modern vibe, modern twist of today. We call it the Jim Masters Show series. Thanks for all the great comments in Lovity Hall there in the chat room. We really appreciate that, gang. You guys are the best. And we shall see you on the next episode. We're working on that episode right now, and it'll be a cool one. So join us. All right. If you missed anything, binge watch hundreds of episodes right here on our YouTube channel. That's it. Oh, don't forget, we always say, don't forget to relax. You know, the world is a crazy, nutty place. Do not forget to relax. Take time for yourself. Love one another. Be good to one another. And don't forget to take time to be good for yourself and to yourself. We'll catch you on the next episode. Be well. Cheers.